Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Dr. Quack podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem. And today, as you can tell, we've got a special treat for you. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
The Big Will.
The Big Will, that's right. This is Big Will Spotlight.
That's right. And today, what are we talking about, Big Will?
Movies.
Movies.
Yes, but what movie? We're reaching out to the fans of the Dr. Quack podcast. We build you up. So tell us, what's the first movie we're reviewing today?
We had to go with The Wrestler.
That's right. The Wrestler. Yes, the movie came out. Marissa Tomei had Ron Killings, the Necro Butcher, the man we're very familiar with, and the host of the movie was Mickey Rourke.
That's right. Mickey Rourke starring. Yeah, he was pretty much a wrestler that was high on the hills there. He was up there on top of the mountain. And where we got to see him basically after the initial montage was near the bottom, doing wrestling on the independent scene.
That's right. And since we're independent wrestlers, we've kind of seen that life. Big Will, we're here to ask your opinion on what did you think of the movie? You know, we brought you in because we know you have an excellent eye for movies.
It was a great movie. The whole plot of it, I kind of saw behind the scenes in the first place, but, sorry to see that that's a path that a lot of people have to take.
Unfortunately, that is true. Both of us have seen a lot of wrestlers that don't know when to hang it up.
That's right. And it's very difficult for some. I understand this is what you've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years. Some people, you don't want to leave it, and it makes it very difficult.
Yes, and it's a tragic story about people who they've reached a point they just don't know what to do with themselves. They just do what they know. And a lot of people should reach out and try something different, and this was what happens if you don't want to do something different.
That's right. A little known fact, folks. That man over there, the important one, Mr. Mayhem, he was almost in this movie.
It was that close. I was in the WXW scene against when he worked Tommy Rotten. I was right underneath the camera, so there's one single solitary scene where you can see like my hand, but that's it. So I was there. I was hanging out with some friends, but I think we've talked enough about this. So now it's time to do the analysis work. So we all got our idea of what our best part of the movie was. Let's start with the man of honor right here. What was your favorite part of the movie?
Marissa Tomei.
You can't disagree with that.
That's a tough one to fight. That's a tough one to fight.
Yeah, she did a great job acting, as the over-the-hill stripper, and basically that's how it is for professional wrestlers. Once you get older, the less and less you're getting booked, and the difficult life becomes.
Yeah, it's hard to believe Marissa Tomei won an Academy Award prior to this. She won it for My Cousin Vinny. But as you can see, she plays that down on your luck character over the top. It does a very good job.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, my favorite part of the movie was when we got to see Ram Jam and Necro go at it. The Combat Zone Wrestling match, that was one of my favorites to watch.
And mine was the gritty story of this. A lot of people think this is based on Jake the Snake Roberts. From everything we can gather from producers and directors, this is an amalgam of several different just tragic wrestling stories, to include Jake the Snake Roberts. I really like the grittiness of sometimes life isn't pretty. And I thought that was a good telling.
Yeah.
So now, what was your least favorite part of this movie?
That Dylan put him out of the business for a minute.
Yeah. For those of you that weren't familiar, Necro Butcher's real name is Dylan Summers. His name is used in the credits, so we're not breaking any lines here. We've all known him. We've met him, talked to him, hung out with him. So, yeah, I can see that. He's the, for lack of a better term, villain in the movie because he puts the protagonist out of the story, which it's not a kayfabe word of the day, but word of the day, protagonist is the hero of the story. No matter what direction the story's taking, who is the main focus of the story is the protagonist.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the worst part of the film, because this film is not just about wrestling. If you haven't watched it, I suggest you do, because this film is about a man after wrestling, which he is now going to be talking to his daughter, trying to build that bond. And that bond there, that was very tough. And as you see throughout the movie, everything outside of the wrestling world leaves him.
Everything, yes. And mine, least favorite, it's not so much the least favorite thing of the movie. I think they could have explored the breakdown of the relationship with his daughter a whole lot more. They kind of did that as they cold introduced her, and then they explained everything later on. I think they could have given us a little more of, why he left, what happened, and all that stuff. I think that could have been told a little better. But also, Rachel Evan Wood, she did a great job. Very believable for that woman or that daughter that says, I've had enough of you. It's time for me to grow up. You need to learn to grow up too.
Yeah. So what other parts of the movie really caught your eye?
My eye or my ear?
Well, your ear. Either one you want to use.
Because it was a great soundtrack.
Yeah, soundtrack was awesome. I will go with that.
I agree with that. We're all 80s kids, so we grew up listening to that music. Excellent soundtrack for those of you that like 80s hair metal rock. Definitely check that soundtrack out.
Yeah.
What were any other things that really caught your attention, really made this movie stand out to you? Well, that's Big Will. You're getting paid the big bucks here, so.
The fact that I wasn't in it.
Yeah, that way I would agree with.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the services of Big Will, so maybe we'll get that in there.
Yeah, another big thing I noticed is how the promoters always acted. It kind of realized like real life. Like you see at the beginning of the scene, he's getting dressed up, dressed after his match. The promoter comes in and shorts him and goes, yeah, I really need you for this next big show. That is real life, folks. You will see that out of a lot of promoters here in the world of wrestling.
Yes. That's unfortunately all too true. Like I said, one of the things I liked is life isn't always pretty. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows. And this is an excellent example of that. All right, so if you were to give this a star rating, what would you give the rating of this movie, and why would you rate it that way?
Because this is for me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you're used to writing these ratings, but you got to give us one.
We're gonna do like a 4.5.
4.5. Very nice.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes actually gave it a 94%. So yeah, you could definitely go with that. I'm going to go with you on it, definitely. 4.5 stars. It probably felt as real life for an independent wrestler or a guy coming down to that stage.
I'm going to go 4 stars instead of 4.5. And the thing is, well, those of us that have been in the wrestling business, we can relate to this. This really is more of a niche movie. It's kind of hard for some people to understand it that may not have been through some of these rigors or just don't understand, well, why don't you just quit? Well, sometimes you can't just quit. So I'm only going to go with 4 stars. It wasn't as relatable to everybody.
All right.
So anything else still you feel like should still be talked about in this movie?
A little more wrestling.
A little more wrestling. All righty.
Yeah, I mean, they have, 3 matches at the end of a 4th one at the beginning. It really could have used more of that. I mean, I like the main event with Ernest the Cat Miller, and you had Ram Jam in there. That was a great, the Ayatollah, the rematch, that story.
Yeah, that was a very good story. All right, so since we brought you here, what would be the next movie you'd like to see, or would you like to have the fans reach out to us and tell us the next movie?
Well, I mean, we're going to keep on the wrestling genre. We're going to have to go with something along the lines of Ready to Rumble or Fighting with My Family.
Oh.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
There we go. So I guess we're going to have to flip a coin on this one, so we'll let you flip the coin.
There you go.
Is it going to be Ready to Rumble or Fighting with My Family?
Be heads.
All right, so
Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble it is.
Oh boy, yeah, we're going to cover that masterpiece next here.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem, and we want to thank the man himself, Big Will. And we'll see you next time with Ready to Rumble.
We're out.